Tara leads Rick and the gang to Oceanside to get some guns. And negotiation, not really part of the plan. And Sasha's run to kill Negan gets turned all around when he extends an invitation to her. Everybody is after something. On this week's episode of The Walking Dead, Season 7, Episode 15. Something they need. Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to this week's review of The Walking Dead. So of course, spoilers, they are creeping towards us and coming pretty much from this point onward. Alright, so good episode this week, penultimate episode of the season, one more left after this, so we are getting our final setup for the war to come. And something they need, quite an appropriate title since everybody here, again, really needing something. Oceanside needs to be left alone, but Rick and company, they need the guns. Maggie needs to have a place to raise her kid, something stable. Gregory needs to get rid of her. And while Sasha needs to kill Negan, Negan needs to add one more to his ranks. I don't know, pose his power position, establish himself. All sorts of things that Negan needs. And Eugene, of course, needing maybe a little self-redemption, acceptance for his choices. So lots of stuff going on this week. So we're going to start things off, I think, just going in and dealing with the whole Negan and Sasha bit. Now I have to say, in some ways, a little disappointed we don't get to see Sasha's rumble through the sanctuary, but from what it's implied here, it didn't last very long. I think after we last saw her heading into the door, it might have lasted a couple more minutes after that, and that was pretty much it. She is captured, thrown into a cell, not too dissimilar to where Daryl was kept, and gets to meet David, the man with the rope, the creepy, rapey sanctuary savior, for about a minute and a half until Negan comes in. Now, of course, when David is there, we are getting the standard savior, creepy vibes off of him. He's going too far. He's throwing his stuff down and doing what he wants. But this is the sanctuary, and I think this was an important scene, the fact of seeing however much we hate Negan, and most of us hate him a lot. He's done some horrible, horrible things. He is a man with the code. And I think this scene here was really important to kind of switch things around and show a different side of the apocalypse, how different people are adjusting to things. And much as the same way when we looked at Shane way back in season 1 and 2 going too far and Rick being the kind of even-tempered gentleman, Rick pretty much has become Shane. It's just taken longer, and we can understand those choices. So this moment, I think, with Negan is a chance for us to look again at those possibilities, to extend out maybe a level of empathy to people we don't really like, who we want to kill from where Sasha is coming from. So I thought that was a really good scene. I mean, just throwing things down with David there, just a rapist. I don't want to live in rape is wrong. It's against the rules, and I don't want to live in a place where it is allowed. It's just, again, it's that creepy moral center that Negan has, but he does have a code. The scene was also really good at showing Negan's charisma and his understanding. I just thought that it was beautiful, and also the point that it left the choice to Sasha. He wasn't making her necessarily do anything, but really letting it know that if you want to live, it's up to you. If you want to die, that's up to you. I don't agree with it. If you want to kill yourself or get eaten by walkers, little rapey Dave here, that choice is up to you. And his final line is, "We are not monsters." It's nice because, again, it gives that empathetic connection with Negan, that this is maybe a man that just made different choices than what we agree with. Well, pretty much a lot of choices that we don't agree with. But I think it's great giving that other side of his character. And great aim with the knife to the neck. That was wonderful. But again, really turning it around there for Sasha, how much she hates him. Now he is offering, I'm not going to say redemption, an opportunity for her to grab hold. And before she really has too long to think about it, we get Eugene back. And I think that was an important kind of balance there. Because now I know you guys have said I'm a bit optimistic about Eugene, but I think this kind of put things in a really good perspective. That Eugene hasn't really turned so much as reverted. That discussion where he explains how he wanted to be brave, he wanted to be like Abraham, and being the 27 minutes in the RV was the greatest of his life. I love that. But after seeing what happened to Abraham and then what happened to Glenn right afterwards, that took all of the wind out of his sails. And now he is pretty much reverted back. He wants to be safe. He wants to be protected. That's what Negan offers. I mean, it's not like he chose to go there anyway. He was taken and given the opportunity to work out along the fence, the big A shirts, and earning his keep, or being treated well and having video games. It's a pretty clear choice for Eugene. But I love the moment that they had to be able to sort of share that back and forth, how Eugene was able to just explain where it is that he's coming from and why. And I think it really makes it understandable. Eugene isn't a fighter, and what is it that he is going to do? So I like having those two scenes. Now, Sasha, of course, she doesn't really want to die. Humans generally don't. So she's going to do what she can to live long enough. And I love that moment. I mean, after the whole Negan returns and all that, and he takes the knife away, of course, he's not going to leave it with her. She's got a long way to go, kind of like how Daryl had to. You've got to earn your keep, got to earn your trust. And I love how he said, if the situation was reversed, I know that you wouldn't believe me, and that's appropriate. But that last scene, when she is behind the door begging Eugene for something to end her life. And all I'm thinking is, one, she's faking it. And two, remembering the poison pills that he made. I was like, you know, he's going to help her out, but not in the way she thinks. Which is, of course, exactly what happens. He brings her the pills, which does nothing for any offensive capacity that Sasha has. Unless she could drop it in Negan's water or something like that, it's not really going to be helpful. So even that was some plan to fight back, to strike out, which was pretty much just nullified right then and there. And of course, there's Gregory and Maggie. And even from the opening sequences, we are starting to see how much Maggie is really planning for the futures. We discussed last week how Sasha was kind of, planning death, while Maggie was planning the future. And here we can really see how far she was planning on. That mentioned the blueberry bush. That could last 40 years. We need to start thinking we're going to be around that long. And again, that just gives that whole bigger picture idea that she is starting to see, which is something that Gregory is not. Gregory is living pretty much for the day and for his own indulgence. He was already feeling threatened by Maggie, but with these statements, her knowledge of plants and growing things and this type of long-term idea is not something that is ringing well with him. So when he went out to meet with Maggie, it felt almost like he was starting to threaten her, which is really stupid of him, because she's not going to take that. And when that didn't really seem to work, maybe do some negotiation. Is that going to work? That opportunity, watching over her with the knife in his hands, you saw. Should I do it? Should I not do it? He's too much of a coward to actually have done anything, which we really see in the scene right after that when the walkers come in. His complete lack of ability to do so. And more to the point, his lie, that he has said he has done this before, when it's quite evident to Maggie, an actual killer, an actual walker hunter, that he has no experience at all. So when the other hillside Denzians move by in the background, and she explains to him, oh, it's okay, she's trying to be sympathetic. He's never done this before. Well, that's not what he told us. That is the quick undermining. He was already looking bad. But especially with that statement, it further undermines Gregory's leadership. He does not have the respect of his people. which is why he decided to go back to his office, pull out a map, and find the way to the Saviors, which Simon, of course, given him directions last time. So he's going to be heading off on a trip to the sanctuary, and I don't think it's going to end well for him one way or the other. Either Negan's going to take him out, or when he comes back, he's going to find out that he is no longer in charge. All right, Oceanside, the big quest to get more guns. Well, not so much of a quest as just going in and taking them. I was honestly curious how they were going to approach this. And when Tara showed up in Tanya's place with the gun to her, of course, that's the way you're going to make your introduction. I still thought that there was going to be negotiations. I didn't think they were just necessarily planning to just go in and take them. But you had to do it that way, because if Tara did walk into Oceanside in the middle of the village, she would have been shot. This is the only way she could even have a moment of having a discussion. So I appreciated that. I was surprised the fact that they had given only a few minutes to go and negotiate, or we're just going in and taking things. At this stage in the game, Rick is past the negotiation. They know what they need. They've got a fight ahead of them. There's already so many risks. They're just going to go in and take what they need. Which is why he was explaining to Tara in the beginning, and why she reflected back afterwards about, you don't need to feel bad about this. We are doing what we need to do. And this is something that Oceanside should support. The Saviors killed all of their men. They killed all of the boys over, 12? 10? And took them out. So I understand Tanya being resistant towards fighting. There has been so much loss. All she's seeing is the potential to lose even more ahead of her. But what Rick and what Tara is really trying to explain to her is that, look, this fight has to happen. They have taken everything from me too. We must fight them. And honestly, I don't feel that bad about Oceanside, because their ability to set up all of the explosives just outside and along the pathway and not be detected at all, Oceanside security's for shit. So, if you can't watch your perimeter, you kind of deserve to lose all of this stuff. But they weren't there to take everyone out. They weren't there to kill anyone. They were there to try and negotiate, or at least pull them to their cause. I love it. We are taking the guns. If you would like to join us, great. If you don't want to, that's okay too. Kind of like the choice that Negan was throwing out to Sasha in some twisted way. But we are taking the guns. And yes, there was a lot of tension in the scene back and forth, and Tara trying to explain, but once the walkers arrived, it was awesome, because that cleared everything up. It showed that Rick's group was not there to hurt anyone, was not there to sacrifice, that they would protect. The first thing they said is, get the children behind us, form up in a line, don't shoot until they're 10 feet up, you guys get up here. I mean, it was perfect. It was perfect, it was textbook, it was tactical, it was smart, and it immediately told everyone who already might have been starting to think a little differently about, because they're going after the Saviors, should we try and fight? But now we have a group that is willing to put themselves in harm's way to protect them, to protect the children. And I think that was the smart move, that was the super cool move, and it said everything that they needed to know. Except, of course, for little Rachel, but we understand why Tara hates her guts. So I love that last little moment. She's, you're taking everything? Yes, we are! It was just, it was lovely. It was awesome. Now, of course, I did think, actually, that Rick's army was going to be bolstered by at least a few extra numbers from Oceanside, but I guess they can't split up. They want to stay together, and it's understandable. You don't want to lose your best fighters when you've lost your guns as well. So that sort of makes sense, but that does mean there might be some backup out there, maybe eventually coming down. Who knows? Potential numbers, we can keep that up in mind. But there was that little bit of a surprise when Rick and everybody got back to Alexandria. One, Rosita is back, but she is not alone, because that was not, of course, Daryl that we saw at the end of last week's episode. It was Dwight. Evidently going with her, probably volunteering to go into the jail, because when we saw that scene between Rosita and Dwight, Dwight had her rights. If he had wanted to take her out, he could have. I think. So this is Dwight really throwing it down. I don't want to be with Negan anymore. And and this makes sense. Because like I said, once his girl was gone, he had no tie to have to stay at the sanctuary. And all he could see is everything that Negan has done. So now, looks like Rick is going to have an inside track on the sanctuaries. If Dwight can survive the initiation. That last scene when when Rick points this Colt python at his head and tells him to get on his knees, I think this is just part of the introduction. There is no reason for them to necessarily trust Dwight, and certainly Daryl is not happy to see him. Understandably so. And Tara's probably going to be really, really unhappy to see him. But everybody has a chance at redemption. Similar discussion going on back with Maggie and Gregory also, though I'm not really sure he's going to take advantage of that opportunity. All right, just a couple of little things here. One, Aaron's boyfriend decided to come out and join the group. Very touching, very nice. Yes, he is scared to death, but I love the point that being with you kind of helps me deal with the abject terror. I thought that was beautiful and a little heartwarming. Eugene's line when he's trying to convert Sasha over and saying, Abraham would want you to, well, he didn't say Abraham, but he said he would want you to. Long pause. Okay, no, he wouldn't. I thought that was appropriate. I know he's trying to pull her over and he's trying to, in effect, save Sasha's life. But even he knew that he went a little bit too far with this statement. And definitely, Abraham, whose dying words are suck my nuts, would not give in to Negan. Edith and Carl's little conversation about remembering the people you've killed, or even as Carl adds later on, the people I didn't kill also, was quite interesting. It wasn't really tied to anything in specifically. Definitely a little bit of conversation just drawing these two closer, but I think this might be foreshadowing Edith kind of being in that position herself soon. Maybe having to kill, or maybe weighing the fact of what if you kill and what if you don't kill. Don't know for sure, but it's sort of feeling like it's going that direction. Oh, and of course, the barnacle walkers. Those were so cool looking! Oh, I just loved it. From the first opening shots of just seeing the growth. I mean, they're waterlogged and decayed and they got the stuff growing out of them. Oh, that was a beautiful shot. Something you could only get by the beach. But really, they keep adding new beautiful walkers to their repertoire and just, love it. Somebody has told Negan that Rick was up to something, and I'm really curious who that is. Couldn't have been Gregory. He didn't know anything. He has no connection in with Alexandria. Could be someone from the kingdom, maybe? I don't know. Spies out. How many spies does Negan have out there? That's the only thing that I can guess. Can't see anybody else coming and kind of turning on anyone else. So, or he's just got eyes out there that are watching all the crossroads. Could be any of those, and I'm sure we will find out more of that next week on the big finale. All right, so I think that's going to wrap things up for this week. Next week is the big Season 7 finale. They got the guns, they got the armies, they got the people. We are about to have all-out war, and I believe next week we are going to see the first opening shots. Oh, so exciting. Kind of curious what plan Sasha has for Negan, or Negan has for Sasha. Let me get that around. I don't know. I get a feeling of like strapping her with explosives and having her walk up to the Alexandrian gate. I don't know. That's a really dark thought for me. But I'm not thinking necessarily great stuff, and neither is Sasha. But it is going to be awesome, and I cannot wait. A little extended next week. It's almost an hour and a half. So a lot of stuff to look forward to. So if you did enjoy this review, please go ahead and hit that like button. I really appreciate it. Thoughts, ideas, comments, expectations for next week, throw those down in the comments section below. Now you can always catch me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Darren Jakes. Now, We are about to wrap things up here. We are about to wrap things up for Black Sails, which is also will be coming. The review will be dropping out right around the time this does. And then we have Legion, whose last episode is this week. It is so good. I really hope you guys have been catching all of that because it is amazing. It's already been renewed for season 2. Super excited. But then as soon as this ends, we are going to start right back up with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I think we are going to be reviewing Starz' American Gods next. That premieres April 30th. This whole summer's all kind of funky because Game of Thrones is starting later and a lot of shows shifting and moving around. So just trying to find something interesting to review that you guys are going to enjoy as well. So if you don't want to miss any of that and you are not a subscriber, you can become one by punching me in the face. Sort of. Hit my face right here, that little button, that is the subscription button. And I will throw up our latest review for Legion right up here so you can check that out. So, I'm going to say goodnight. I am D, and I'm out of here. I'll catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.